You love him, maybe more than anyone else ever has. You do anything to keep him happy, to keep the relationship alive, even if it means losing little pieces of yourself along the way. But what if I told you some things you do out of love are the very things that make him lose respect for you? As a psychology expert who spent years studying love and emotional behavior, I'm here to tell you, there are things you should never do for a man, not out of pride, but out of self-protection. Because when love starts costing you your worth, your voice, or your peace, it's not love anymore. It's self-abandonment. Stay with me. You need to hear this. Section 1. Never beg for his attention. Let's start with one of the most painful patterns I see, begging for a man's attention. You tell yourself it's just a message, just a little check-in, just one more call so he knows you care. But here's the truth. The moment you start chasing his presence, you stop feeling your own. Psychologically, our brains assign value to what is scarce. It's called the scarcity principle. The more available and eager you are, especially when he's pulling away, the more his subconscious mind registers you as less desirable. I've counseled so many women who confuse consistency with desperation. They're always the one initiating, making plans, checking in, holding the relationship together with both hands while he sits back with his arms crossed. But here's the hardest truth of all. When a man knows you'll always be there, even when he's absent, he doesn't appreciate your loyalty. He exploits it. A relationship is a two-way street. If you're doing all the emotional work, constantly trying to earn a response, an effort, or his time, you're not being loved. You're being used as an emotional convenience. Real connection doesn't need chasing. It shows up, it reciprocates. And when it doesn't, you don't beg for it. You walk away with your dignity intact. Because the right man won't make you question your place in his life, not even for a second. Section 2. Never abandon your boundaries to keep him. Let me say this as clearly as I can. A man who truly loves you will never ask you to betray yourself. Yet I've seen women, strong, intelligent, loving women, slowly give up their boundaries one by one, all in the name of keeping a man who never truly saw their worth. Psychology calls this the fawn response, a survival behavior where we please others to avoid conflict or rejection. In love, it looks like this. You say yes when you want to say no. You stay silent when something hurts. You tolerate disrespect just to avoid rocking the boat. And at first, you think you're being understanding. But deep down, you're sacrificing your needs just to keep him around. And every time you do that, you disappear a little more. Boundaries are not walls to keep love out. They are filters to protect your soul. They teach people how to treat you. But when you erase them to make him stay, you're sending a dangerous message. My comfort matters less than your presence. The result? He doesn't love you more. He respects you less. Because deep inside, even he knows, you're loving him more than you're loving yourself. And here's the truth you need to hear. A man worth having will never feel threatened by your boundaries. He'll feel honored by them, because he'll know. A woman who protects her own peace is a woman of value, and value that's irresistible. Section 3. Never fund his life while he plays king. Love makes you generous, but it should never make you a sponsor. There's a painful pattern I've witnessed in countless relationships. The woman becomes the provider, the fixer, the safety net, while the man gets comfortable being cared for without ever stepping up himself. Let's be clear, supporting each other is healthy, but funding his life while he offers you empty promises? That's not love. That's exploitation dressed up as romance. From a psychological standpoint, this creates a distorted power dynamic. Instead of being equals, you become the caretaker, and he becomes the dependent. And guess what? People don't fall in love with their caretaker. They rely on them. but they don't respect them. I've spoken to women who've paid his rent, bought him clothes, funded his dreams, while he couldn't even be bothered to ask how her day went. And the scariest part? The more she gave, the more he expected. Because when love starts to look like a one-way investment, it stops feeling like love at all. You are not an ATM. You are not his mother. You are not his savior. You are a woman, worthy of partnership, not dependency. Remember, any man who lets you carry the weight of his life while he offers you crumbs of affection is not a man. He's a burden. And the sooner you put that burden down, the freer your heart becomes to receive real love, the kind that gives back. Section 4. Never apologize for your success. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever dimmed your light just to make a man feel more comfortable? Maybe you downplayed your promotion. You stopped talking about your dreams. You made yourself smaller so his ego wouldn't feel threatened. I want you to hear this clearly. Your success is not arrogance. Your ambition is not intimidation. In psychology, this behavior is called self-minimizing, a subtle but destructive coping strategy where women shrink themselves to avoid rejection. But here's the cruel irony. The more you shrink, the less he sees you. A man who's secure in himself will celebrate your wins. He'll be proud to stand beside a woman who owns her power. But a man who needs you to stay beneath him to feel like a man, he's not a partner, he's a parasite, feeding off your doubt. You were not put on this earth to play small. You didn't come this far just to apologize for making it. Your goals, your growth, your voice, they deserve to be seen, heard, and honored. And any man who makes you feel guilty for having those things isn't scared of your success. He's scared of your independence. But here's the twist. The right man won't compete with you. He'll run beside you. And he won't be intimidated by your fire. He'll fall in love with how brightly you burn. Section 5. Never silence your voice just to keep the peace. Let me tell you something most women learn the hard way. Peace without honesty is just quiet suffering. So many of us have been conditioned to believe that being low maintenance makes us more lovable, that staying quiet when something hurts will somehow make us more desirable. But the truth? Swallowing your truth to avoid conflict only creates a war inside yourself. Psychologists call this emotional suppression, and it's one of the fastest ways to destroy your self-esteem and emotional health. Because every time you silence your feelings, every time you bite your tongue when something doesn't feel right, you're not keeping peace. You're sacrificing your voice to protect his comfort. I've worked with women who kept quiet for months, even years, about the things that made them feel unloved, unseen, or unsafe. And in the end, they weren't rewarded for their silence. They were left feeling invisible, resentful. Real love doesn't ask you to mute yourself. It creates a space where you can speak, cry, question, and express without fear of punishment. If you have to tiptoe around his emotions while choking on your own, that's not love. That's emotional exile. So here's your reminder. Your voice matters. Your feelings are valid. And if speaking your truth scares him away, then let him go. Because love that only survives in silence isn't love, it's control. Section 6. Never take responsibility for his emotions. Here's a trap many women fall into without even realizing it. You start thinking it's your job to fix his mood, to manage his anger, to rescue him from his pain. I've seen this again and again in my work. You become the emotional caretaker. He's distant. You try harder. He's angry. You blame yourself. He's sad. You carry the weight of his silence on your chest like it's your fault. But here's the truth. His emotions are not your responsibility. Psychology calls this enmeshment, a blurred boundary where you start to feel guilty for someone else's feelings. You believe that if he's upset, you must have done something wrong, so you overcompensate, apologize too much, walk on eggshells just to keep him emotionally stable. But in doing that, you lose something sacred, your emotional freedom. A grown man, especially one who claims to love you, should be capable of managing his own emotions. You are not his therapist, you are not his emotional punching bag, and you are not responsible for healing wounds you didn't cause. If you find yourself constantly soothing his rage, his sadness, or his insecurities just to keep the relationship from falling apart, you're not in a relationship. You're in emotional captivity. The most dangerous lie love can tell you is that fixing him will finally earn you his love. But the truth is, when you stop carrying the weight of a man who refuses to carry himself, you finally make space for someone who can. You deserve a man who takes responsibility for his own healing, not one who uses your heart as his emotional crutch. Bonus ending. The twist truth when you stop doing these things. Now here's the twist you probably didn't expect. Most women think that doing more, giving more, sacrificing more will make a man stay. But the reality, the moment you stop doing these things, is the moment he starts respecting you. You see, love isn't proven through suffering. It's proven through mutual effort, mutual respect, and mutual growth. When you stop begging for his attention, when you protect your boundaries, when you hold on to your voice, you're no longer chasing love, you're attracting it. Because here's the truth I've learned from years of studying psychology and relationships. Men don't fall in love with the woman who gives everything away. They fall hardest for the woman who values herself so deeply that she would never give herself away cheaply. So if this message hit you in the heart, if you've seen yourself in any of these patterns, don't feel ashamed, feel awakened, because awareness is the first step back to power. And if you're ready to stop settling and start rising, then you're already on your way to becoming the woman he can't ignore. Not because you chased him, but because you finally chose yourself. If this video spoke to your soul, share it with a friend who needs this truth. Tap like to let YouTube know more women need to hear this. And hit subscribe for more psychology-backed insights into love, self-worth, and healing.